Hey, Hope City family. We're back with Psalm 6. Excited to kind of walk through this together with Pastor Phil, Pastor Ruben, and Katie, who leads our Freedom Session Ministries. Hey, Katie, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, you.
Yeah, all right, good. Here we go. Psalm 6. O Lord, don't rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your rage. Have compassion on me, Lord, for I am weak. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. I am sick at heart. How long, O Lord, until you rescue me? Return, O Lord, and rescue me. Save me because of your unfailing love. For the dead do not remember you. Who can praise you from the grave? I'm worn out from sobbing. All night I fled my bed with weeping, drenching it with my tears. My vision is blurred by grief. My eyes are worn out because of all my enemies. Go away, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my plea. The Lord will answer my prayer. May all my enemies be disgraced and terrified. May they suddenly turn back in shame. Pretty raw psalm there, Ruben.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts?
Just want to give David a hug first off for just being this guy. But I understand that in life there's mountaintop moments and valley moments, and it's inevitable for us and the human condition. But it's just how you react and respond to those seasons. And clearly, this is a valley moment. But no matter what season you're in, like there's always a beginning and an end. Like it's not like a forever permanent thing. And I just love, obviously we feel emotionally for David through this valley moment, but just seeing his urgency and his plea to press into God, no matter how he's reacting to it. And, in my job at the church, I primarily deal with our teenagers and preteens. And one of the biggest things I walk with them with is they have a reality and believe that, God's silence is the same thing as God's absence. And so, and I believe them sometimes, because like when they go through stuff in life, when no one responds to them, they believe that they're just absent. But I encourage them and try and challenge them that just because God isn't talking back to you about the problem doesn't mean he's not working on the answer. And it's just always a good reminder that our timeline doesn't match God's. And I love David's response in terms of like his urgency and his plea and his weeping weeping in the Psalms has a unique connotation to it. This is passion inside of his heart. And, in verse 8, it's just all of a sudden a pivot point that like, hey, I'm not going to sit here and have a temper tantrum in the valley moments, but to really press in and turn away from my, iniquities, but turn towards God and run straight towards him. And so I just love David's response in this psalm.
Yeah.
Katie, what do you think?
Yeah, similar to Ruben, I was looking at verse 7, and in the translation that I have here, it says, my eyes of faith won't focus anymore, for sorrow fills my heart, and there are so many enemies who come against me. And I was just reflecting back on seasons of my life when that was exactly it. The pain or the fear and the sorrow just kind of pushes in and changes the lens of how I see everything. And that last bit, there's so many enemies who come against me. Sometimes things are so heavy, so fear-inducing in our life that it just changes the perspective of everything, and that's all we can see. But what Ruben was saying by verse 8, to go from my eyes of faith aren't even focusing anymore, I don't know what to look at, to suddenly challenging that and saying, this isn't reality. The truth is I have a God who will fight for me. I have a God who's going to show up. I just love that transition, that we can be real, but we don't stay there.
Yeah, it's great. For me, I don't know if people know this. This is actually the first of 7 what's called penitential psalms, which are psalms of confession that David wrote throughout the book of Psalms. And it's really for anyone in suffering. So I love that, because even in the context of what we're going through right now, I think a lot of people can relate to this. Things that stood out for me, in verse 3, it's really piggybacking on everything the two of you have said already. How long, O Lord, how long? He's just like, man, this is taking forever. I feel like I'm in this spot. It's not changing. It's like, come on, God, do something. And then listen to like some of these words. I am worn out. All night long, I flood my bed with weeping and drench my couch with tears. So it's not all night long, it's all night long and all day long.
Yeah.
Going from the bed to the couch,
Yeah.
Then he's like, my eyes grow weak. Like, this guy is done. This is rough. And I love how the first 7 verses, like you said, guys, is just all about being troubled, valley, hard times. But then he goes into what I feel is like this defiant faith. And I think he's speaking that into his moment before he's feeling it. And I think there's something critical about that. Because he's like, away from me. Okay. From my eyes growing weak, he's going, okay, away from me. And then he says this, the Lord has heard my weeping.
Yeah.
The Lord has heard my cry. The Lord accepts my prayer. It's kind of like he's like, all right, I'm not feeling it right now, but I'm going to speak this into my moment because I know God is present. I know God is real.
Yeah.
And I know that he hears me despite the fact that I feel like I'm going from bed to couch all the time.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. And I think it's important for our people to recognize if you're walking through a valley, God hears you. God is listening. His ear is not deaf. He accepts your prayer. He accepts it and he's working. And I just want people to recognize that and know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, it's we don't take each moment that happens to us. Like when you're saying that, Phil, in my mind, I just got the sense that, you know, someone who's mature in their faith, let's say David, for example, before he faces any situation, he's already going into that situation, regardless of the outcome, with presuppositions, with, you could even say prejudice, like he's already prejudged the situation, right? Like he knows that whatever happens, God, he can trust God, right? And so you're not starting at square one with every situation that happens to you, whether it's a worldwide pandemic or whether it's a financial crisis or whatever it might be. It's like whatever your life goes, and you can actually have a standing point where you can launch your life off of, right? So it's not like, can I trust God, right? And you're not asking that every single situation you go into, right? Yes, this is real. And I love how authentic David is, right, with this, because, you know, I got an email, I don't want to give away too much information, but I got an email from a group of parents, let's just say that, not from our church. And the language in the email was so Christian, I'm like, you'd imagine that no worldwide pandemic or anything bad has ever happened to these people in their life. Like everything was so bubbly. And I thought, oh man, they're really happy right now. That's great. But then I also wondered, like, can they be honest? Right? Can they be honest about the situation? I think sometimes, you know, we have a hard time being honest with one another. How you doing? Fine, great, yeah. And then we can even take it to a relationship with God, right? Where it's like we pretend with God, like he doesn't already know what's going on, right? You don't have to impress him. You don't have to come to him and pretend you're something you're not. He knows, you know, your heart. He knows your thoughts, you know, he knows it better than you do. And so you don't need to hide from him. And so if you're grieving, man, you can grieve. And that's like an okay thing to do. But again, with that foundation of saying, yeah, I can grieve, but ultimately what I'm seeing my world through is this lens of God is good and I can trust him. He's going to hear me regardless of what's happening in my situation. So
It's true. Love it. So good.
Yeah.
Love them Psalms. Thank you, friends, for Psalm 6. Okay.
I like your little trumpet lips there.
Yeah.
Okay, I just fired up. I just haven't preached in a while, so I'm just like ready to rock here, Phil.
Yeah, that's good.
This is your avenue.
All right. See you guys.
Okay, bye.